Hi, we are Yasmine Belghith and Atefeh Mahdavi Goloujeh. Today we are presenting our paper titled Testing, Socializing, Exploring, Characterizing Middle Schoolers' Approaches to and Conceptions of ChatGPT on behalf of our co-authors Dr. Magerko, Dr. Long, Dr. McKlin, and Dr. Roberts. Generative AI is increasingly entering people's lives, from teaching our children to helping us get dressed in the morning. This increase highlights a need for improved AI literacy, which we define as competencies users need in order to effectively interact with and critically evaluate AI. These competencies fall under the following 5 themes. What is AI? What can AI do? How does AI work? What should AI do? And how do people perceive AI? AI literacy is especially crucial for youth because they're at an age where they are beginning to form their identities, make decisions about their future, and are overall growing up with generative AI technologies. Developing avenues to foster AI literacy is crucial for youth who otherwise would not pursue CS through formal education or are underrepresented in the field. This is where informal learning spaces like museums and culturally relevant approaches, or approaches that incorporate learners' cultural knowledge and practices, play a key role in reaching those audiences and fostering interest development in learning about AI. With this study, we aim to inform the design of interactive museum exhibits with the goal of fostering and broadening AI literacy. We recruited 24 participants aged between 9 and 14. 17 identified as female, 19 had no prior CS background, and 11 attended a Title I school. In groups of 2 to 4, participants freely interacted with ChatGPT's version 3.5 for 10 to 15 minutes.
Our analysis is guided by the following 3 research questions. What personally and culturally relevant topics do middle schoolers show interest in discussing with ChatGPT? How can we characterize middle schoolers' approaches to interacting with ChatGPT? And what conceptions and misconceptions of AI capabilities emerge through middle schoolers' conversations with ChatGPT? Through the focus group, we make the following contributions. For methods, we highlight the importance of examining contextual conversations to characterize participants' interaction patterns with generative conversational AI tools. For findings, we surface personally and culturally relevant topics to middle schoolers when interacting with ChatGPT. We identify 3 distinct approaches that participants exhibited in portions of their interactions with it. By analyzing participants' group dialogue through the lens of Long and Magerko's AI literacy framework, we surface themes and gaps in participants' thinking around what AI is, what it can do, and how it works. Lastly, we discuss 4 considerations informed by our findings for the design of interactive museum exhibits to foster and broaden public AI literacy. In today's talk, we will be focusing on the 3 distinct approaches that participants exhibited, themes and gaps in participants' thinking around AI, and design considerations for fostering AI literacy in public spaces. First, we focus on one of our findings in the interaction approaches our participants exhibited. To surface them, we examine 3 key dimensions of each focus group's interaction sequence. We look at the dialogue within each focus group to examine participants' motivations in interacting with ChatGPT. We mainly focus on goal-oriented thoughts such as, I already know it, I'm just gonna see if it knows. We focus on the prompts given to ChatGPT by the participants to understand how their motivations were implemented through their prompts. Here we categorize the types of prompts. For example, we categorize the prompt, how many years till the next ice age, as a speculative question. Lastly, we analyze ChatGPT's responses to these prompts to understand the context of their subsequent interactions. For example, ChatGPT provided an answer with caveat. From our analysis, we identified 3 distinct interaction approaches. Some groups were particularly interested in assessing AI's knowledge base. We refer to these as AI testing-oriented groups. These groups made the most attempts to probe ChatGPT's abilities, exploring both its scientific and creative capabilities. Here we see a direct example of an AI testing-oriented group in action. Participants 23 and 24 collaborate to craft a prompt to test ChatGPT's depth of knowledge. P23 said to P24, let's think about how knowledgeable it can be. Let's give it a random question. And P24 replied, we can give it a history question that is hard to understand. Other groups exhibiting most instances of socializing with AI were treating ChatGPT as a peer, such as discussing shared interests with ChatGPT, comparing themselves or others to it, or attributing a persona to ChatGPT. In this instance, we observed the socializing-oriented approach with P9 stating, it feels good to talk to someone who's actually as smart as me. The content exploring oriented groups express curiosity more often for the content that ChatGPT produces rather than ChatGPT itself. For example, this statement from P24 illustrates the interest towards the content. I would definitely use it, just ask random questions that I want to know the answer to, just randomly. Additionally, even when faced with ChatGPT's explicit limitations, these groups didn't pause to reflect on the AI capabilities. Instead, they continued with their prompts. This lack of reflection on ChatGPT's abilities suggests that these groups may have been more curious about the content it was producing rather than ChatGPT as an entity or its capabilities.
Separate from our analysis on interaction approaches, we also examined the transcripts for conceptions and misconceptions shared by participants during their interaction with ChatGPT. We extracted a total of 57 AI-related conceptions and misconceptions from the data. Of these, 15 referred to what is AI, 33 to what can AI do, and 9 to how does AI work. When it comes to what AI is, participants sometimes compared it to other tools like Siri or Google, saying that it's like Google but it talks to you in the first person. They also either assigned or did not assign some human attributes to it, like P12 correctly predicting that ChatGPT will say, I don't have any feelings, or P19 saying that ChatGPT forgot 2 books in its answer. In terms of what can AI do, participants also compared its capabilities to humans or other tools. For example, P16 incorrectly assumed that ChatGPT can infer hidden context like we do. They encouraged their sibling to send a prompt with fewer contextual information, saying, it doesn't matter, it's super smart, it will know what you're trying to say. Participants like P13 also praised ChatGPT's ability to give more specific answers than Google. Some also commented on ChatGPT's intelligence and capabilities. For example, P23 assumed that ChatGPT's answers are always correct because it answers with what she calls informative essays. And P8 recognized its ability to write, saying it is good at making poems. Finally, in terms of how AI works, participants only shared misconceptions. Some assumed that ChatGPT searches the web or is connected to Google, as P12 puts it. Some other participants attempted to communicate with ChatGPT by speaking to the computer or were impressed by how fast it types, as P23 shared.
To address our broader aim, we now focus on what our findings mean for the design of informal learning interventions that foster AI literacy. We present our considerations related to highlighting personally and culturally relevant topics, expanding the scope of AI exploration, leveraging anthropomorphism as an approach to understanding generative AI, and finally leveraging creativity as an approach to understanding generative AI. We found that participants often limited their interactions to fact-based questions. This focus not only constrained the exploration of ChatGPT's broader capabilities but also overlooked vital discussions around ethics and potential uses of AI. By primarily engaging with factual prompts, participants missed out on understanding the full spectrum of what ChatGPT as a generative AI tool can offer. We encourage leveraging participants' questions and topics of interest as scaffolds towards a deeper understanding of AI's strengths and weaknesses. While ChatGPT's disclaimers about its capabilities, such as its knowledge cutoff date, captured participants' attention, more detailed explanations seem necessary to render this information meaningful to them. We propose making AI's explanations of itself more accessible for the target age group, considering that verbose text that does not match the learner's reading level might be counterproductive. Lastly, given the difficulty in crafting effective prompts, we suggest that design and use of pre-designed prompt guidelines and templates that cover important aspects of AI agent. Alternatively, for learners who seem more interested in AI's answers rather than AI itself, the suggested prompts could incorporate their topics of interest to encourage AI exploration. For AI testing-oriented participants, designing short challenges to assess AI's capabilities and knowledge can help them uncover more dimensions of AI, such as ethical considerations.
We found that participants, especially in the AI testing-oriented and socializing-oriented groups, anthropomorphize ChatGPT. We suggest that personification can support learners in understanding the concept of programmability and can facilitate the explanation of abstract scientific concepts. Also, differences in the attribution of humanness evoke strong opinions in people, making them a potential hook for engagement. However, caution is advised to avoid inaccurate mappings and to prevent false inferences. We also suggest that embodied interactions can facilitate the explanation of abstract concepts to unfamiliar audiences and create an engaging learning experience by allowing for experiences like stepping into the agent's shoes to understand how it works. Our final design consideration relates to creativity. Open-ended creative exhibits have been shown to promote prolonged engagement and facilitate visitor-led learning experiences that can lead to more personally relevant meaning-making. Our participants often expressed misconceptions about how AI functions, likely stemming from the lack of transparency in ChatGPT's interface. We suggest increased transparency in the explanations provided by AI agents. More specifically, designing interactive museum exhibits that allow participants to program or customize an AI agent as a way of co-creating with it can provide a personally meaningful and transparent learning experience. Thank you for your attention.